Hey guys, Dwayne here. I want to talk a little bit about reaching out to your ex. You know, it's one of those things that I've kind of forgot about because it's just, I haven't thought about it in a long time, but there's been some comments in to some of the videos and even some direct messages that caused me to think about this situation from my own past and how it relates to what some people are going through right now. So the first thing I want to say is it's really kind of a weird situation because you get to this point where you convince yourself that you're doing better and that things are, that you're over the person or you're putting it behind you. And you get into this mode where you just really want to reach out to the person. You want to let them know that you're done. You want to let them know that it can be a multitude of things. It can be that you want to let them know that you hope that they find whatever it is they're looking for and they're happy, right? You want to let them know that you forgive them for everything that they've done to you. You want to let them know that you're over it and they don't mean anything to you. I mean, there's this whole laundry list of things that come up. And what it is it's basically your mind trying to convince you that you have a real reason to reach out to your ex. And I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, right? I mean, you had this relationship, even if it was toxic and it was basically, fundamentally not a good relationship, you still have this connection with this person and it's really hard to let it go. You don't want to let it go. Even for me, I've had a couple of incidences throughout the last few years, not recently, but in the first stages of this, where I did exactly that. I sent her emails. Well, it was always generally emails, but I sent an email or a communication that in my mind at the time was healthy, right? But it wasn't healthy. I mean, it served no purpose. I think in the back of our minds, we're still hoping for some closure. We're still hoping for some answers. And I think that we think if we send something like that maybe they will respond with some type of answer that explains this stuff. And the problem is that it just isn't going to happen. They are not going to give you any closure. They're not going to really respond to it. If they do respond, it's not going to be anything positive, and more than likely, they're just going to ignore it. They're going to use that as supply to validate in their own mind that they still have a connection over you, which is absolutely true no matter how much we don't want to admit it, and that they still can get emotional supply from you. But I understand it, guys. I mean, I get it. You get so wrapped up in this situation and you so want something, some type of answer, some indication that, what you went through was not fake, that it wasn't an illusion, that it meant something, that there's something there, that you're wrong about your assessment of this person. You want to believe so badly that you're even in denial about it, and you end up reaching out to try to connect to get that. And I mean, I think the worst one that I did, and I don't even really like talking about this one, but this was maybe a year into my relationship with my girlfriend, and I don't know if I don't really recall whether I had the understanding of what narcissism was. And I had sent my ex an email basically saying something along the lines of, if there was ever a time where you thought you were saying something to me, but I'm letting you know that it wasn't clear, you didn't say anything, I didn't hear it, something really pathetic along those lines. And realistically, in my mind, I thought I didn't think of it in the way it was construed. And then I made the colossal mistake of telling my girlfriend about the thing. I mean, because we have a really open relationship, not open, that doesn't sound right. What I mean by that is a good communication, right? Because of everything I've been through, I'm not playing any games. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to mince words. Not that I was lying before, but what I mean is that if something's bothering me, I'm going to talk about it. And if something's going on, we're going to talk about it. Because living in limbo, living in a fantasy land, living in, passive aggressive behavior, I'm not going to do that again. But the problem is I didn't see what this communication really was. And I shared it with her, and she was really hurt by it. And I didn't even really understand it at the time until I took a step back and looked at it, and she was absolutely right. And that letter, by anybody else reading it, was me trying to somehow reestablish a relationship or something, to try a last-ditch effort to open up communication. And I you know what, guys? And the reason, the reason I even say this story, because trust me, I would rather not tell this story, is because all of us go through this, right? And we can get to these points, and we can get to these times where we think that let me back up. We think in our head that we're over it, right? That we've recovered and we're doing okay. And in the back of our mind, we know that we're lying to ourselves. And I think that is the situation a lot of us get caught up in, is that, we don't want this to be true, right? We don't want to be living this nightmare. We want it to be a bad dream. We want it to be just a miscommunication, a collection of unfortunate decisions that have resulted in a stalemate that isn't real, right? We want the fairy tale of the movie. We want the other person to come back and say that it was a mistake and that they really care about us and all that stuff. And in some situations, people get that. Unfortunately, in our situation with a narcissistic abusive person or somebody with a personality disorder, they don't have the capacity, and the relationship was never as real as it was for you. So when you find yourself in that mode, when you find yourself thinking that you need to reach out, and you're couching it in a term that in your mind makes sense, like, you want to just say, hey, I hope everything's going great for you, and I hope you have a great life. Don't do it. Don't subject yourself to it. It's going to be hard, but you can write the letter if you want. You can write the letter, you can write the email. Don't mail it, don't send it, don't text it. I've said this before, where your best bet is just to have this absolute thinking about the situation and your ex. And what I mean by that is just unfortunately, you have to believe what you know or what you think you know. And what you think you know is that you're in a relationship with somebody who is toxic. You are in a relationship with somebody who has very strong traits of narcissistic personality disorder or borderline personality disorder, or a combination of those within the cluster B of the DSM. You need to just take that and believe that it's true. And anytime there's anything that makes you doubt that, you need to go back and say, no, this is reality. And the reason that's important, and I have talked about this before, is that can help you to not put yourself in that situation, that you don't send that email, you don't make that phone call, you don't send that text, that you do the things you need to do to protect yourself, that you stay on target with what you're doing to rebuild your life. Guys, I get it. It's really hard, and in the early stages of this, it's even harder. I mean, you go through this wide range of emotions. One minute you hate the person, the next minute you're reminiscing and missing the person, and the next minute you're in just a daze. You're in a fog. You don't really know what end is up. Unfortunately, that's normal for this process. It sucks. It's not any fun, but it doesn't last forever, guys. If you can stay with it, it doesn't last forever, and things start to get better. And those feelings that you have, they start to subside. Guys, I've had a lot of those same feelings. I've had a lot of the same doubts. And I'm here to tell you is as you progress, the intensity of those emotions continue to decrease. The intensity of the mood swings that you have, they decrease, and they ultimately get to the point where they're non-existent. It gets to the point, like even for me sometimes, I have to really, you guys will say something and it will trigger an emotional flashback where I'll remember a situation. And think about it. I'm putting myself in the middle of all this stuff, talking with you guys and talking about this all the time, where you think that it would just be a constant reminder or a constant flashback. And in some instances that is true, but for the most part, it's not. I've been able to separate myself from that. And I really believe that as you guys work on this and you put in the effort and you work on yourself, that you're going to get to that point too. That you are going to get to the point that you get your life back. You'll get to that point and you won't need to even watch these videos. You might remember some, maybe, months down the road, you'll go, hey, there was that YouTube channel I used to watch. I wonder what happened with that, or maybe you won't even think about it at all. That's the goal. And I think every one of you guys out there have the opportunity to get to that point. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this video up. I just wanted to get that out there just because I know a lot of people are hurting and they're going through this right now. And I just wanted to reiterate this. I know I've said this type of message in the past, but I just thought it was important to say again. So I'm gonna wrap this up really quick. So I will talk to you guys in the next video. Take care, bye.